Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Insider, brought to you, as ever, by Vanishing Inc. My guest today is a magician, a creator, an experimental filmmaker, a fine artist. It's Tobias Dostal. Tobias, how are you this morning?
Great. Thank you very much, Damien. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you for doing this. What's your magic origin story? You have 26 seconds.
My origin story is, I was 9 years old, how I started magic. I don't know, I think was super interested in reading magic books from the library with these old pictures, and you have no idea what people doing there, But actually, my father had some little magic tricks, so he collected them from a very old magic shop in Hamburg, and I was always allowed to watch them for a little while, but I was not allowed to see the secrets, so I was really interested.
So it's all your dad's fault.
Yeah.
Looking at your website whilst researching these questions, I see a lot of your art installations have shadows and light as a theme. What came first, the magical applications of shadow and light, or the art applications?
Oh, light and shadows. This was something that came really at the end, when you actually figure out what you're going to do there with all these materials that are so beautiful to work with. I mean, when I studied fine arts, I studied arts, like just actually figuring out what I like to create the most. It's like I did magic when I was a child, and then I went to this crazy art study with all these people doing so crazy, absurd, abstract things. You had to figure out for yourself what is actually your medium, in a way, you like to work in. And for me, it was mostly drawings, and then film, like analog film.
Mm-hmm.
And with this kind of camera, I was using light in a way to make my film the exposure and show all my images in a way in a projector. But now I'm doing like different artworks, also working with light and magic tricks that work with light, because light is just the most attractive thing for your eye to work with.
Sure. Sure. How did silhouette evolve? But first of all, can you explain the effect for anyone listening that missed it when it came out?
Oh, silhouette is it's one of my favorite effects. Actually, I came up with in the last years. It was actually because I always switch between making my artworks, and then I'm completely obsessed with an idea for a magic trick, and I'm always like switching from one to the other. So I'm actually inspired from both kind of ways I'm working. So I was working actually with some LEDs, figuring
Mm-hmm.
out kind of sculptures, and these LEDs are just such a wonderful thing to work with. You just need a battery, and it's so small, and you can actually hide this LED everywhere. And then figuring out that every iPhone has an LED inside is such a great base to make a magic trick with this. But anyway, this was not the way I figured this out. It was more like standing in my studio late night, playing around with like different light sources, and then seeing a huge shadow on the wall, and then going like, oh, and if I do that, what happens here? It was just something I didn't try to invent. It was just I just found it on the way of playing around with different materials. And when I actually figured out that the shadow on the wall can stuck there, and I can move my hand away, I was just I was laughing like a crazy professor, like walking around. I thought like I really found something there, and then yeah, the things developed from there on. Just without explaining the secret now.
No, no. How cool. Light also plays a very important role in optics. Can you talk us through the creative process for that effect?
Yeah, optics was also one of the most powerful experiences for an audience member. It's like there are magic tricks you can really perform, and people can watch and be like, "Ooh, it was nice," or they can be involved and stand there and they feel something, and they really like their reality gets twisted. And this is like, I think, the most strongest achievement in magic, where you can um, when the audience really questioning their reality, in the deepest sense. So this was something also light. If you don't work with a shadow, sometimes the dark part of the light is beautiful, but also on the opposite, there's the super bright part of the light that can also make you blind. So if something is too dark, you cannot really see it, or the opposite is when you're so blinded by the light, then it has also some space to work in. And this was, yeah, kind of the opposite of silhouette I created there. It's just really interesting where the section of your eye is can be really easily fooled, or make your own memory starting,
Yeah,
imagination starting. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. You are really a Renaissance man, fine art, installations, magic, and also mime. Can you explain to the listeners about Full Face and how that came about? And can you show
Oh,
me?
yes. Yeah, I can also show
This
you.
is no good for the audio listeners. You have to go to YouTube now to watch the video.
Sometimes if you smile too much, it's really difficult to relax the muscles. So imagine I'm just in my studio. It's a crazy mess here. It looks like, I don't know if you know pictures from how Jackson Pollock was working. The
Hmm.
painter, you couldn't walk through it. It just had to go everywhere over. And sometimes I have to, it reminds me when I'm in my studio, I'm like, shit, damn. And, it's crazy. I'm just like to play around with things, and I'm mostly in front of the mirror. And then I discovered actually something where I mean, I can do it once and then we can talk about it. Just have to relax my face.
Sure.
So when you're here, it's,
Ah, it's so cool.
it's something
It's so cool.
where you wipe off your smile. And I don't know, when I trained the first part of it, I was like, it's interesting that half of your face is still smiling and the other one is not smiling. But there was a really, what we all know from pantomimes when they go on stage and something looks really theatrical, they always go like, doing something like that. And but this is just one motion, and you just keep on smiling when you do this. But if you do it slowly, like a card change, and there was actually the challenge. So when you actually take a playing card and slowly go over it, and in front you already see how it's changing, and in the front, in the back, it's not changed yet. You know, they're like really beautiful slides that are slowly changes. And then I was trying to do this without cards, just with my body. I mean, there are also like all these. If you do something where, I mean, this camera, I have to watch in this camera. If you just do something where your finger is just disappearing or something, it has this quality of body magic that works anytime, any place, and it looks just kind of artistic, and it gives it a deeper meaning sometimes if you put in some different art forms in your magic. So I don't know, it's just something I was playing around. There's not just one thing I'm interested in. I'm always just trying to be creative in any art form or any form you can play with. So it was the result of something quite stupid, actually.
Yeah, I read in an interview that your creative process involves the trust of good friends. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I mean, of course, you need a good group of people around you if you want to create magic or just even learn magic. I think meeting other magicians who actually see what you're doing, and they can also tell you immediately what is not so good yet, or where you're too fast, where you're too slow, or people don't get it what you actually want to show there. It's like really important to have some people you really trust to show you material, and they're not blaming you that it's still not on point. Or some magicians, they never show their stuff until it's really like thought through till the end. And I'm not afraid even walking on conventions and showing my first idea what I've had to make this. I think even sometimes you have to get yourself naked in a way that just otherwise you will not get forward if you're not just communicate on your problems on things. And I don't know, it's really important to have some good magician friends you can always show your stuff even in the first stadiums.
Yeah, so the tip there is get naked at magic conventions.
Yes, but I mean, you can get naked physically and mentally and both.
You talked then about showing the first stages of things, and it seems that everything that you release has spent a long time in development. So, how many products or ideas are in your brain now?
Oh, in my brain there's a lot, but I mean, mostly it starts for me when things are like, I work on like strange gimmicks in the moment. Like like things I'm now able to. I found a way to mold things and like make these different materials working for me, like polyurethane, and they're like really cool materials I can use in my studio. And I don't know, they're for sure like boxes full. I have like 5 boxes full of crap for others, but each one of them has some quality I was working on. So the best stuff I always put in front of my desk, and they're always there, and I see it again, and I play it around when I'm talking on the phone, or I don't know. And sometimes I just get the perfect idea to it like months later. Sometimes, you know, it's not something I'm. Things have to grow here on my table. I'm just of course, I have all the time thoughts, but sometimes it's good to not think of too many things in the same time. It's good to have just one object or two in your mind that you want to, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
make
yeah.
better.
You've got one foot in the art world and one in the magic world. What do you think the world of art can teach the world of magic?
In the field of art, or yeah, I mean, both ways there is a huge inspiration for the art people. I'm always, you know, he's a magician, and I'm actually for the artist, I'm just the magician guy, you know. And sometimes, and then I walk on the conventions, and then I'm like, oh, it's Toby. He's actually, you know, he's doing art. So I'm actually crossing there something which I like, that the context is mostly such from a different background, so you can see them, so you can see the artwork I'm doing so much better in a way because they know, ah, he's a magician, and then it's like, ah, that makes sense. He's like, he wants to show this and that more, and difficult to say now. I mean, I love to get inspired from both things, you know, and see what is the attraction in the art world. Because I mean, if we could do all magic, we don't have to do art anymore. You know, if it's this a very nice phrase from one of my professors in my university, he told me that, and it's like, what do you mean? Huh? It's actually interesting that every artist is also just claiming how the reality is now. You know, in a painting or in an object in sculpture. And we magicians, I mean, this is also at the end, it can be really artful if you present it in a way that it's not just I want to fool you right now. You know, you give it a bigger space there to experience something.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about your studio. How did you design it? Because I heard there were some interesting decisions about the design of the studio.
Oh man, I'm happy. Since 1 year, I moved from a smaller studio to a bigger one, and then I thought, okay, the bigger studio, I keep everything in order that I can work nicely. And then after 2 weeks, it was just it's just a mess. But on the other side, you know, it's my room here. I can come here and I can keep on working on the same thing I did yesterday, and I didn't have to tidy up everything. You know, everything is still all the time waiting for me to keep on working on something. And I have some easy tools like we call this a drill that is really on a stand. I
Mm-hmm.
have a jigsaw kind of thing on a table, so I can cut out easily my gimmicks. So I actually can take my idea very quick to a prototype in about half an hour, just to see in my hand if this is actually working, what I wanted to actually do there, and then I see all the problems, and then I can start thinking from there on. Sometimes you just have ideas, and then they're great in your mind, but then if you actually try them, it doesn't work out, you know, and then you have to find a better solution how to achieve that.
How long do you spend there every day?
Oh, I'm here every day from 9 mostly till the afternoon, but sometimes also in the evening. I mean, there's also I have a different life I have to also organize. So, but yeah, I want to be here as much time as possible. This is my favorite place to be. If you have time for yourself creating something, it's the most worth it. It's the most and more. I don't know what I can't even describe it. It's like really this is the best time. It's like makes you so happy if you go out of this room and you created something that is now on the table that was before only in your brain in your thoughts, and then it becomes reality. This is crazy if you think about it. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
And at the end, it also works in front of 100 people, and they're all like, "Wow, how did you do this?" Because you created that little gimmick that makes this people so enthusiastic. It's a good one.
Sure. You lived in New York for a while. How important do you think that was in your magical development?
Yeah, oh yes. I mean, I think after my studies, I was lucky to get a scholarship from my university, actually from the Lower Saxony in the part I was living in Germany. And I spent 1 year, everything was paid. It was a dream. So they paid me 1 year in New York with a flat in a studio, money per month to live, and to discover the art world and to see all these exhibitions, find maybe a curator. And I didn't do anything of that. I just went to see all the magic scene in New York. And I was so lucky to I think already in March, like after 3 months, I met Doug McKenzie, Tony Chang, Ricky Smith, Xavier Spade, and I realized, God damn, you hang out with the best group you can find in New York City. You know, like such a creative group, and Sleight of Hand was like, what?
Yeah.
I thought I was good what I'm doing, you know, and then then you go like, hey, do you know this one? You know, like Snap and stuff, and they're like, yeah, sweet, but then they were like just doing things. I was so inspired at the end because how they were thinking of sleight of hand was just. I think you cannot compare this to somewhere else. It was just the best. Yeah, and they also met illusionist company showing one of my first routines with a card manipulation thing, and there actually everything started working on kind of products also. If this is like to release at least the trick, what I had there, it was fun.
Amazing. Um, you seem to keep your ego out of the way when you perform and let the magic speak for itself. Was that a deliberate, conscious decision? And if so, why?
Wow. I mean, I have no idea how I'm actually performing. I'm just trying to be as natural as possible in a way. I don't want to feel, I don't want to actually make my audience feel uncomfortable in a way. So I'm just first trying to reach a personal level with them where we can be like, friends. And then from there on, I'm just showing some really crazy stuff I trained since years, but I just try to make them look like, oh, I just show you something, like I tried this in the morning, it's funny. But it's nice if the expectations are really low from the audience. That if I go there and like, I will show you something, like it's like it makes people so skeptic. Okay, let's do it. But if you just do something out of a moment, people are actually didn't expect that. Like give me your phone and let's make a video, and then you actually did all the trick, and afterwards, um, it's something so much bigger where people connect with you in a way before that you're not so one-dimensional magician. You're just I created there. I think mostly a really easy-going close-up magic surrounding where I love to work in.
Mm. We obviously know you predominantly for the magic you've released, but what are some tricks that you would perform for friends at a bar or at someone's house for dinner? What are your go-to tricks for like real people? Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I love card tricks, but since the last 2 years, I came up with so many different materials that I actually don't want to bring this out. Like
Yeah.
if people are like, "What are you doing?" Yeah, I'm a magician. Like, you know how it is. You're like, "Oh, you're a magician. Oh, come on, show us the trick." And it's like, let me see here, and then they go like, "Oh, he has his cards with him." Like you sit there like this super nerd who is always walking around with cards. So I actually like to just take some peanuts that are on the table, and then something is happening with the peanuts, and they're like, this is so much stronger if things are actually everyday objects. I love this the most in the moment.
Ah,
It's
interesting.
the most natural feeling to it.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Uh, who are some magicians from the past that are no longer with us that you wished that you had the opportunity to see live?
Oh, Tommy Wonder. I mean, sometimes the way, I mean, if you really look at Tommy Wonder's material and how he created gimmicks and the more and more I step behind how this guy must have been thinking, you know, how to, I mean, such a perfectionist also, and detail how he actually, I would really love to sit down with Tommy Wonder for one day and show my material. And I mean, this is, yeah, definitely one of my favorites.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
What are some books that you think that every magician should have on their shelves?
About magic
Mm,
or like,
magic.
I mean, it's really different from if you want to start magic. I think if you're really into it, and I mean, the last book was so intense when I looked at the, I know, the octopus could palm thing from
Hmm.
Dan and Dave, which is really things inside. They're really beautiful. I mean, of course, you can first take a book from Ernest Eric and By Forces Unseen, but this is like really deep, hardcore, uh, sleight of hand stuff. I love this. I love to open the book mostly and and just watch the images, get my own ideas from just the images, and then I read the text what actually he was thinking about. But I love to see if you see the cigarette magic manipulation from Clark. What's his name again? There's like
Uh,
a black little book about cigarette manipulation, and there are pictures. I mean, the text doesn't even describe what's going on there, and there are like holding grips and like things, and you go there like. I mean, this is not necessarily what everybody should look at now, but a book can be so inspiring in any way. So I'm actually planning to make just a book without any text, just crazy images of maybe holding weird objects in a way that you can just get inspired from the pictures.
that's such a cool idea.
Yeah, let's see.
What about books from the art world? Are there any that come to your mind that you think magicians would find interesting?
Oh, there are a lot of great artists. I'm always looking at creating magical pictures in a way. So, I mean, if you look at surrealism, you know, there is Man Ray, for example. If you see his ways of photography or like also sculptures, Magritte, you know, sometimes it's also so important to really get this magical feeling they give you from these paintings and objects and photographs that this is it's not something I can describe because it's an own language itself. So sometimes when you perform something and then you just create an image that refers to Dali, you know, when the watch is melting off or something, you know, it becomes a huge, deep impact of what you show there. It's but I mean, there's so many great artists out there, you know.
Do you think about your magic in terms of pictures that sometimes I used to do theatre and had a director that would always say there's certain bits that are the picture for that scene. Do you think about that if it was a video and paused, that that's the moment that sums up the trick? Do you consciously think about that?
Oh, it can be everything. It can be just if you refer on a movie scene in your magic trick. Let's say you take this a red D light with a red light inside, right? And you have sunglasses on, you know, and you just take the sunglasses down and you switch on the red D light, you know, and I'll be back, right? And you just put this on. You refer to Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator stuff and everything. It's so cool to everybody knows this, you know. It's great to look at pictures, movies, different stories from an old time that people know and then work in that field with your magic trick. You know, it
Yeah,
opens up a new world for them, for the audience.
yeah. Um, you're coming to the session in January, which is incredibly exciting. What are you looking forward to about the convention?
Oh yes, I cannot wait to have another real convention with other magicians. I really am missing that so much because this is the best group of people to hang out with. You know, you don't have just 5 friends, you have 200 friends, you walk around, you perform, you exchange stuff. And everything I want to show in this little time of lecture I will give there is mostly everything I came up with in the last 2 years, maybe the things that are actually working out. So I think I'm just going to show as much as ideas that you just get a lot of inspiration. Even if the routine is not that finished, that you can also give your own thoughts to it and things. But there are certain areas I discovered that I want to show that might be not explored yet so much. Like, I mean, shadows. I mean, there are not so many things with shadows, so there's still so much open space for everyone to put in there. But I will just go for 1 hour the lecture showing a lot of things I'm excited about, and I hope people are too.
I am sure everybody is excited, particularly as you've said now that it's going to be all new stuff. That's incredibly exciting.
Yeah,
Tobias, we're very nearly out of time, but we always end the show the same way with 4 quick fire questions. Are you ready?
okay. Let's see.
They're deep. Favourite pizza topping?
Oh, spinach.
Favourite movie?
Ooh, oh, so many. Mulholland Drive.
Favourite person or people that make music?
The Stones and oh my goodness, so many. I cannot decide.
Now the Stones, we can work with the Stones. That's cool, man. And finally, who would you rather fight? One massive Andy Gladwin or 100 tiny Joshua Jays?
I think the 100 tiny Joshua Jays.
Okay, I like it.
Thank you, Gladwin.
Tobias Dostal, thank you so much for giving me your time this morning. I really appreciate it. And I'm hugely looking forward to meeting you properly in the flesh with other magicians in the flesh at the session convention in January next year.
I can't wait. It's so close.
I know, man. Weeks away.
It's not. Next year sounds so far away. Oh, no, it's just weeks. That's great.
Well, I can't wait to meet you in person. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.